This video shows the crucial moment when Ukrainian troops began capturing the first Russian hideout. Their movements were tactical and measured without haste, everything calculated. The teams approached in neat formation, taking advantage of natural cover. They didn't rush in. The outer areas were secured first to prevent any surprises from within. When the position was deemed secure enough, the troops began entering the Russian safe point. The process was systematic, sector by sector was checked. No space was left unattended, and this is where the tension escalated. Several Russian soldiers were found. Still within the initial hiding sector, they were detected when the Ukrainian team inspected the interconnected cover lines. This discovery confirmed that the location was not simply a stopover, but was actually being used as an active defensive point. Ukrainian forces maintained procedures, concise communication, clear sector assignments, and complete control of every corner before moving on to the next. No movement without cover. Entering the second location, the terrain changed completely. It was no longer a remote point of protection, it was now a densely populated area. Residential areas, multi-story buildings, and industrial structures resembling factories. The risks were much higher. Narrow paths, obstructed views from buildings, and enclosed spaces created numerous blind spots. Every window, hallway, and doorway was a potential observation point or hiding place. Ukrainian forces moved more slowly and were fragmented into small teams. The urban area demanded tighter sector control than the first location. While combing this second location, Ukrainian forces again encountered several Russian soldiers hiding within the building complex, using the urban structure as natural cover. And it's important to remember, what we've covered so far, that's just the beginning of the video. And now, let's get to the heart of the video. Ukrainian troops moved in a coordinated, phased manner. Formations were maintained neatly, with clearly defined surveillance sectors. Each personnel was responsible for a specific vantage point, ensuring no gaps were missed. Ukrainian troops entered the forest area fully prepared. Weapons were at the ready, communications between teams remained active, and sector divisions were maintained despite the changing terrain. What was clearly visible was the discipline of movement. There were no open gaps. No sectors were left empty. When signs of Russian troops began to be detected, the tempo did not become frantic. On the contrary, the surveillance circle was narrowed. The pressure built slowly. And from here, the operation entered a more decisive phase. Just a few meters from their previous route, Ukrainian forces received crucial information from aerial reconnaissance. Drones detected a suspicious spot, a position that clearly indicated a Russian troop hiding there. The information was quickly transmitted to frontline units. The coordinates were locked. The direction of movement was immediately adjusted. The tempo of the operation shifted drastically, from sweeping to direct action. The ambush was swift, measured, and coordinated. The goal was clear: to seize the location before anyone had a chance to move or disappear. This moment marked a crucial turning point in the video. It was no longer simply about searching, but finding and suppressing. And from here, the series of captures really began. Ukrainian forces quickly took control of the situation. Security procedures were carried out in stages. The area was secured, the surrendering personnel were checked, and then they were moved one by one away from the point of contact. They were closely monitored to ensure there were no further threats during the transfer. Under tight security, the Russian soldiers were then taken to a Ukrainian troop post for further handling. The situation at that point was declared under control.
Пацаны, не стреляйте! Пацаны, без брони, без оружия, с поднятыми руками.
Entering the urban sector, the operation shifted into an industrial building resembling a factory. The large structure, vast empty spaces, and narrow corridors created numerous hiding spots. Every corner of the building offered potential defenses, from machine rooms and service passages to enclosed storage areas. Sound reflections within the industrial space also made it difficult to determine the direction of movement, requiring troops to move with greater caution and precision. The sweep was conducted in stages, room by room, with close monitoring of every entrance and exit. The primary focus was not simply on advancing, but on ensuring no area within the complex structure was overlooked. During the room-by-room sweep, Ukrainian troops discovered a Russian soldier hiding inside the building. The situation was immediately secured. The surrounding area was fully secured to ensure no other personnel were nearby. Ukrainian troops conducted rapid field interrogations to obtain tactical information, especially regarding other possible hiding locations within the complex or nearby sectors. This information was key to determining their next move.
Выходи!
The operation continued. New targets were being sought.
Выходи! Оружие выкинул!
Based on information from previous interrogations, Ukrainian troops moved again toward the forest sector, suspected of being the next hiding place. The movement was swift but controlled. Formations tightened again. Entry points were secured, observation sectors were divided, and the surrounding area began to be systematically combed. The focus was clear: confirming information and finding a new position before the target could move.
Стоп. Що там наказує? Що наказали?
Pressure built again.
Молодець, я почую.
The hunt entered its next phase. Then the moment of ambush began to take shape. The forward reconnaissance team first identified suspicious points, areas of unnatural vegetation, seemingly reused terrain, and cover angles that offered observational advantages. The signal was given. Movement was immediately reorganized. One element circled to close off possible escape routes. Another team advanced slowly from the front, maintaining distance but maintaining pressure. Rear surveillance remained active, ensuring no additional movement beyond the primary target. The circle slowly narrowed.
Вылазь! Вылазь! Дистанцию возьмите.
And CQB Tactics were employed, a close-quarters operation method often used by special forces in position finding and capture missions. The movement was gradual, sector by sector. The goal was not just to find the target, but to shut down all possible enemy movements before contact was made. In this pattern, pressure was built silently. Egress routes were blocked, viewpoints were controlled, and the enemy's space for movement was narrowed without warning. That's why, before direct contact occurred, the team was already in a tactically superior position. Only after control of the space was achieved was the ambush launched. And it was at this point that the operation we're discussing entered the target-finding phase. With the CQB pattern established, the troops were no longer simply moving. They were actively reading the terrain. A few moments later, the first signs appeared. A change in vegetation patterns. A cover position that appeared to be repeatedly used. A natural vantage point too strategic to be a coincidence. The reconnaissance team immediately gave a silent signal. The movement stopped abruptly. All eyes were on one point. The target, finally detected. The troops didn't move in immediately. They held their positions for a few seconds, ensuring accurate identification, ensuring there were no supporting positions nearby. Once full confirmation was received, the formation immediately changed. The flanking elements circled. The forward team closed slowly. The exits began to be closed one by one. The pressure built silently, without warning. And when the control circle was completely closed, the ambush was launched simultaneously. The target no longer had room to maneuver. The position was immediately captured. The situation was under complete control. Once the position was secured, the ambush was carried out quickly and simultaneously. The hiding spot was immediately captured before there was a chance to escape or change positions. The area was secured in seconds. Full control was taken. And once again, the operation followed the same pattern. Find, lock, take.
Сколько вас там? Двое? Еще кто-то есть? Все, лягли мордой в пол. Лягли. Документы. 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 Где документы?
The operations we discussed from the outset demonstrated a consistent, systematic pattern of military movement based on complete control of the battle space. Beginning with initial sweeps in the forest sector, troops moved in a coordinated manner with clearly defined surveillance sectors, ensuring no gaps were overlooked. Information from aerial reconnaissance and field observations was key in detecting hiding points, which were then responded to with swift and measured ambushes. Once positions were captured, the situation was immediately brought under control through security procedures and the handling of discovered personnel. The operation then progressed to more complex environments, including industrial buildings in the urban sector, where enclosed structures and layered spaces increased risks and required more precise sweeps. From field interrogations, new information was obtained, redirecting troops back to the forest sector for the next hunt. The common thread throughout this sequence was the implementation of close quarters battle (CQB Tactics). This tactic emphasized gradual control of space, blocking enemy movement routes, and building pressure before direct contact. Troops moved not only to locate targets but also to ensure they had no room to defend or escape. From start to finish, the operation exhibited the same pattern: detection, isolation, capture, then complete control, a tactical approach that was disciplined, structured, and oriented toward dominating the situation in every sector of the operation. Furthermore, this operation also demonstrated how the tactical intelligence cycle unfolds in real time in the field. Information does not stand alone. Each discovery is immediately processed, verified, and then used as the basis for subsequent actions. Data from drones, visual observation, and field interrogations form a rapid yet controlled decision-making process. This demonstrates that the success of the operation depends not only on physical strength, but also on the speed of analyzing the situation and the ability to translate information into action. The shifting terrain from jungle to industrial area, then back to jungle, also emphasizes tactical flexibility. Each environment has its own distinct characteristics. Jungle provides natural cover, while simultaneously limiting visibility, while industrial buildings create layered enclosed spaces with numerous blind spots. Yet in both situations, the operational principles remain the same: sector control, formation discipline, and gradual pressure. This is the true essence of modern CQB implementation in the field. Not just close quarters combat, but a method for simultaneously controlling the opponent's space, time, and movement. Direct contact is merely the end result of a process that has been underway since the initial observation phase. With repeating operational pattern detection, encirclement, capture, stabilization, and then information exploitation, each success at one point immediately becomes a stepping stone to opening the next. No momentum is lost. In conclusion, this series of operations illustrates a disciplined and layered military approach: precise reconnaissance, calculated maneuvers, and control of space through consistent CQB principles. From the initial sweep to the final security, All stages demonstrate one primary objective, ensuring complete control of the situation before moving on to the next phase. And that is what makes this type of operation appear not as a series of separate events, but as a unified, interconnected, and continuously moving tactical flow.
Плюс, я чекаю. Плюс. Вон, присядь. Чех правее, чех правее, чех правее, чех правее, говорю. Два, блядь, гостя. Два гостя есть, передай.